No, and again, and this, oh God, from the highs of me being right to the lows of me having to acknowledge something, and this again might be where Andy's on point around defining it, right? And whether that's a global definition of culture and what good looks like, or whether that is um, a uniquely organizational definition of culture is so important. I mean, Andy, what are your and I'm quite excited here. I'm just going to put it. I'm just going to name and shame someone in the hope that he responds to my LinkedIn requests for a bonus episode next week. I think I'm really keen next week to get a friend of mine. Well, I thought he was until he ignored my last friend request. Dr. Daniel Snyder, who I met through my time on the INSPO um, internship, and he does a lot of work over in the states and globally around culture and culture surveys and stuff. And be really keen to get him on the show and have a chat maybe next week. So Daniel, if you're listening from the Ozarks, check your inbox, please, because there's a request coming through to catch up next week. But Andy, your thoughts? Culture, is it something that potentially is in the eye of the beholder? So what you perceive to be good, I may, because I'm in the thick of it, perceive it to be bad, as per Des's examples.
I don't think culture necessarily is in the eye of the beholder. I think putting a value on it, whether it's good or bad, is absolutely is because you're making a judgment call, and your perspective will be very, very different. And I have this conversation frequently with different people within an organization where they'll say, "Oh, the culture's good" or "the culture's bad," and they're both working in the same place. It's not the culture's just the culture. The putting a value on it is that's the subjective piece. And that's why
Yes.
models like Hudson's models are quite useful if used in the context that they were intended. I just I just wonder if in many cases we're not better off focusing on other things rather than focusing on something that's so abstract.
Oh wow, wow. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of come straight back at you with something else. Is it something that we shouldn't necessarily focus on, but through the actions and focuses on the things that you believe we should be focusing on, does that not in itself create culture? So is culture something
It's
that you want to focus on, or if you focused on the right things, it would develop the culture?